All right, let's get a sense of what's going on in the markets at the moment. Peter McGuire joining us from XM. Pete, a very good Monday morning to you. Hope you had a good weekend. Lots to consider. Of course, we've got that party congress going on in China at the moment, and also that UK turmoil, which just continues. Of course, I just mentioned there with the UK Prime Minister Liz Truss sending the Finance Minister on his way. How's that all been reflected in currencies at the moment?
Well, good morning, Andrew. Yes, it certainly was volatile Friday, and that'll be carried on, I think, this week. Kwartung out the door in, as you mentioned, 38 days, front page of the Financial Times over the weekend. So, does Truss make it till November? That's the bet. A lot of money on it that she won't make Melbourne Cup. So I think the pound will come under a little bit more pressure this week. I wouldn't be surprised, maybe under 110. We've got a lot of currency movement. Yen nearly approaching that 150 handle, and euro still languishing at 97. And I think we're back above 62 cents for the old Aussie.
Yeah, what you mentioned the yen there at with the US dollar at 32-year highs. Are we likely to see intervention, do you think?
I think absolutely. If you go, approaches that 150 handle, you're at 148.67 at the moment. So, yeah, maybe over the next day or two, you might see rumblings coming out of Bank of Japan. It's not unusual, and I think that's what the market's probably anticipating, Andrew. So that's this current mood as far as currency, if you're looking at the yen versus, dollar.
All right. And China, I mentioned there that party congress underway ahead of some key data this week as well. But importantly, it looks as though the party is committed to that zero COVID policy.
Yes, absolutely. That seems to be the number one agenda for them, or continuance. Also, share buybacks. They're looking at that as far as making it more attractive to the investor and to the companies. So, yes, they've got their hands full, and they're certainly all hands on deck, considering, the growth numbers coming out of China and what, the inflation probably starting to bite over there just as much as it is in the West.
Well, you mentioned inflation there, and those inflation expectations in the US deteriorating.
Yes, they are, and that will probably continue till Christmas at least. It'll be interesting to see what Jay Powell and his gang do next month as far as rate rises, how aggressive. Some are calling for 100 basis points from the Fed and another 75 in December. So, yeah, let's just wait and see. Everyone's got an opinion on it, and we've got that number about to drop in the next couple of days out of the old dart, being UK. So, do they hit 11%? That's what some analysts are calling, so just a massive ramp up.
Yeah, interesting also just as far as the effect that petrol prices, or gasoline as it is in the States, are playing into the expectations there, because those prices have gone back up to, I think, $4 a gallon. That's despite, of course, the oil price coming off.
Well, the oil price has come off, as we know, from there, that 120 handle, 115 for Brent. We're currently sitting there at about 91 at the moment. It seems to be all over the shop. Last week I thought we were going to crack 100. We're at 98, so it's given up a fair bit of hot air in the last, say, 3 to 4 trading sessions, coming under a bit more pressure. But those cuts coming in from OPEC, all of that needs to be realised by the market, and I'm pretty sure that it'll probably move up from here. So it's a wild ride if you want to trade Brent or WTI. Not for the faint-hearted, but the profits can be, quite wonderful.
And Pete, how are you feeling about precious metals at the moment? We were talking about gold, I think, this time last week, where perhaps, well, certainly the gold bugs would say, have we seen a bit of an inflection point here? But, we've seen it come off again, clearly given the US dollar is maintaining its strength and those bond yields are moving higher.
Well, exactly, Andrew. That's right. The 2-year and the 10-year, and then you're looking at what's happening with US dollar index. It's running at around about that 113.30. So it's had quite a nice move to the upside. The hot air naturally came out of gold. Everyone was saying, is it going to hold above 1,800? And here we are, sub 1,700 at 1,650 handle. So yeah, it's again another wild commodity to trade and plenty of movement. So not for the faint-hearted, but when you get it right, you see those big whipsaws of $20 and $30 over a trading session.
Pete, I think you'd agree this year has been exhausting. If you're an investor or if you're playing on the markets anywhere, really.
Yeah.
What are you feeling right now? As with 3 months to go essentially till the end of the year, how do you feel about where we're going? Certainly locally too, with the economy ahead of course, that key budget that we're going to get from the government next week.
Well, a couple of things. First off, are we going to see a 5 handle for the Aussie? We're at 60, that's close to 62 cent. So are we going to see 59 something by end of year? Many analysts are calling that sort of number. And as far as the stock market, it's very volatile, and we've seen that demonstrated. We had a good night Thursday on New York, and then Friday it was a wipeout. Nasdaq down 3%. So that probably will set up the week this week for a soft start to Asia. And not good numbers coming out of China overall, considering a couple of years ago they were at 5,800 for their CSI 300. Now you're at 3,800, so it's lost 2,000 points in that 2-year window. So I think that there's probably further downdraft for our market, and it's going to be a hard one to get a resurrection by Christmas, Andrew.
Yeah, and that data to look for this week, of course, we're getting more detail on jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. We're keeping an eye on that. That'll drop this week, and what impact that has naturally to our RBA, and the next part, of course, is lead up to Christmas retail sales and naturally the value of our dollar.